this is a wonderful event, and for some of us who don't know the Sherman family quite as well as others, this has been a eye-opening opportunity. But you know, it's really great. For better or for worse, I was an only child, and when you see the Shermans out there, you know, sassing each other, denigrating, what was it, the moron twins, that's right. But it's, you know, families are great, and I'm fortunately married to a lady who has a large family, but when I first came to this country as an only child, people said, oh, that's terrible. It's a terrible thing. I mean, how awful it is. But actually, you know, there are certain times when it's not such a bad thing to be an only child. But I'm here really to talk about Bob, or let's say Robbie, or Bobby, or Robert. There is a discussion at the rehearsal dinner as to exactly what it should be for Robbie. But hey, a man of many names. But Rob is over the years. You know, when some of us are at a certain age, I'm reminded of an old New Yorker cartoon where there's a guy who looks a little like me, maybe a lot like me, slumped in a chair, watching a TV. And his wife is just coming down the stairs, and she says, she looks at him, she says, I've just been up in the attic, and I've just come across your old hopes and aspirations. I guess they can be chopped. And Bob is not like that. Bob has hopes and aspirations and passions for lots of things. And I've come to know him over the years, and he's one of these people. There are men like this, there are women like this, who they get involved in certain things. So, for example, when I first knew Bob, he was in advertising, and in fact we worked together at Pepsi, and one of his jobs at that time was to select a new advertising agency for this particular Pepsi division. And he went, and, you know, like everything else that Bob does, he pours his entire passion, his soul, his intellect, his everything into this particular thing. And when Bob does that, inevitably he produces a discourse, you know, and sometimes it could be a small book, it could be in this case it was, you know, a thing that he distributed to other managers. It was sort of how to select an advertising agencies and the 12 things you should look at when you do this. When he's involved with hunting, we heard a little about his hunting today. You know, he sent me this missive that showed him astride of some large beast in, you know, in Eastern Europe, evidently 3 miles in to the Russian border. And there he is, and he's, you know, he doesn't just sort of talk about the experience, he writes about it and gives you a 20-page sort of small novella on what it is to be hunting on the 10 miles in and the Russian border. But you know, whether it's hunting, whether it's hell, you know, the instructions for this wedding, my God, he's passionate about that for this reason. It's here. It's all laid out for those that were a part of the wedding party. It's laid, single space type. It's four pages. I thought, am I gonna meet these expectations? I mean, it's tremendous. So Bob's like that, and so I thought, well, he's passionate about a lot of things, and I know some of the things he's passionate about, and I thought, well, Bob's written a couple of missives, he's written a couple of books. I don't know if Cathy's read them yet, and some of them I'm sure she probably has. But I'm looking for my glasses. I thought, well, there are some books, as I say, whatever Bob gets involved in, he's passionate about. And it's a lovely thing about him. And everyone who's, friends with him, on the edge with him, sort of say, gee, guys, really, it doesn't matter whether you're a taxi cab, whether you're whatever it is, it's passion, baby. He's in there. So I thought, well, there are a few books that Bob has not yet written that on things that he's passionate about. So one of them, certainly, Bob has always had a passion for clothing and looking good. And being good, and being in the right, just look at him tonight. I'm looking at that red sock, that perfectly, that perfect shoe, that seersucker, double-breasted seersucker jacket. And so I thought, well, one of the books he hasn't written yet is Gentlemen Really Are Peacocks. Sartorial Elegance for Middle-Aged Men, with chapters on a wardrobe with checked shirts, scarves with green hunting coats, matching fabric shoes, these are chapters, mind you, waistcoats that work, and handkerchiefs, that's a chapter all in itself. Bob likes it. There are a few other things, Bob has been passionate about real estate, whether it's in New York, up in Bethel. So I had a few titles of books that he's not yet written. A Hustler's Guide. Hello. Oh yes, we're there. Are we there?
Yep.
God. Oh, no. She's there. God, come to me. Okay. A Hustler's Guide to the Connecticut Department of Environmental Protection. That's one of them. The Wetlands Edition. We could, of course, go into bogus farm renovations and restoration. That's a major one. And then a short treatise on elegant Bowery apartments. The second floor workup editions. And with chapters on cooking on a 3-burner stove, installing a front door that works, another chapter on dealing with Jewish, Chinese and other immigrant landlords. And then finally on the real estate sort of editions, New York Co-op Board monologues. Board member deals, that's a chapter. I could go on, honestly. There are a few others. There are a few other things that I won't go into that I've decided is. I was told by the best man that, we couldn't go into too many of his passion, because Bob is passionate, and